Hey friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are back here at the chicken coop because we are going to add in some hot weather loving perennials. This is a great time to go ahead and add those to the gardens. We may be sweating and panting here in North Carolina, zone 8A, but this is a great time to add perennials to your garden, especially ones that love the hot weather because this is their active growing season and they will just flourish in the garden. So we are going to do that. We're going to add two different kinds of grasses, and then we're also going to add some Nephophia. Yes, red hot pokers. Some of them are red, some of them are orange that we're going to add to the garden today. And then we are going to add actually a little bit of annuals to this side of the chicken coop. Those of you that were with us, I believe it was last week, just within the last 10 days or so, you were here when we cleaned up the chicken coop from the damage that we had a cut from a month ago with some storms. We had some trees down. Andrew and the fellas came through and mulched. I will show you that because it looks so good. I'm telling you, ladies, it's like the earrings or the lipstick of the outfit. It just polishes it off and makes it look great. So that has been completely mulched. I can't wait to share that with you. But here on this back corner, I had some hollyhocks, and I have never grown hollyhocks before, and because the reason I had these is a sweet customer had started them from seed and gave them to me. Well, this was their second year. They were beginning to bloom, but then they had all this funky stuff all over them. And so when we were here, I asked you about it, and y'all told me it was hollyhock rust, and it was not good. Very, very common in the heat and humidity. And so I was telling Jerry this morning about what I was going to do today, and I was like, yeah, it's hollyhock rust. And I was like, you know, there's probably a reason that hollyhocks grow in like cool climates. When we were at the Grand Garden Show 2 years ago, Mackinac Island, it is covered in hollyhocks. Don't see them a lot here in the South. I now know why. The heat and humidity are prime conditions for that hollyhock rust, so I had to yank them out, actually threw them away, because it's once you got it, and so we're just gonna start fresh. What we're gonna do is add in some annuals, kind of keeping with the theme of those fun, really bright colors. So I have got them here. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and yeah, so I think what I'm gonna do is we're gonna start with the hot, sweaty stuff first, which is the perennials, because it is like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was looking at the weather. So it's about 80, I don't know, in the mid 80s, 78% humidity and 72-degree dew point. It is thick, my friends. The air is thick, the humidity is just cranking, and the dew point, I'm telling you, it is something. So Jenny's gonna be listening today. I'm gonna share with you the grasses that we're doing. We're gonna add it to the garden. Now let me just go ahead and preface this. We have lemon squeeze here on the left, and then we have the patchy rose here on the right. Lemon squeeze is supposed to be a bright, beautiful chartreuse color. Apache rose is supposed to be a nice dark green. I actually have it in the bed by the patio. Where I was storing these, it was in kind of a really shady area, so this is why the Apache rose is so light right now. So just kind of preface that before we get into it. Lemon squeeze, oh my goodness. Now, I have never grown lemon squeeze before, but we have customers that have it and they love it. So it's Prairie Winds lemon squeeze. It is a penstemon. This is going to be on the rather, I say, quote, short side, 30 to 36 inches tall. Beautiful, nice kind of, you can see from the habit, kind of open and airy. It is going to be hardy in zones 5 to 9. It's going to be a full sun, right? So these are full sun grasses. Beautiful ornamental grass. It has fun interest with that chartreuse, gold leaves, and then it'll have copper panicles that, of course, will give us lots of beautiful interest on that. So we're going to add 3 of these guys. And then Apache rose. Like I said, I have Apache rose. I have grown it for several years now. Really do enjoy it. It too is a panicum. It is going to be taller, 48 inches tall. Much more of a columnar habit on this one than, say, a mounding habit of the lemon squeeze. But it is, again, hardy in zones. This one is hardy in zones 4 to 9. and just a really gorgeous grass that can handle adverse weather conditions. It will have gray-green leaves, just trust me on this, I promise it'll darken up, that have rose-colored panicles and leaf tips in the fall. So what we're going to do is, of course, I have got my biotone because I never plant any plants without the biotone. The Apache roses are actually going to go here on this corner. So to give you a little bit of a perspective of where we are, we're in the far corner of this flower bed. You were actually with Greg of Power Planter and I when we planted these daylilies, which are getting ready to bloom. So I have this nice little empty corner right here. This will fill in perfectly because we're going to space them, it was about 30 inches apart, which I have plenty of room for that. And just thinking of a design point on this, so I have 3. I love doing things in groups of 3 or odd numbers, and it is on the far kind of back corner of the flower bed, being 4 feet tall. So I'm going to put my taller things here in the back because it draws your eye and you will be able to see it from a distance. So these 3 will go here. It will be really fun next to the daylilies. And then the other 3 are going to go up with the lemon squeeze because they're shorter. They are going to go in kind of between the hollies and around the butterfly bush. So in a much more like up close and personal space. So that way it all fits in kind of, like size-wise, it makes sense, right? Now, I am going to use, of course, my Power Planter auger with the DeWalt drill. And so I thought this would be fun because here we have a side-by-side comparison. This is the original Jenny's edition of the Power Planter auger that we partnered with Power Planter with. You can see that it is a little bit of a darker pink than what you currently get. So the pink is a limited edition, so we don't always have the pink available. It's always available in lime green. But I thought this would be fun to show you the wear and tear of mine versus a brand new one. So you can see here, this is mine, right? Here we have, it has been worn. Brenna's gonna be like my little Vanna and point things out for you. But so here we have all sorts of things that we can look at. So the one thing that I do love, a lot of things I love about the Power Planter, is that all these parts are replaceable because you know that I have thick red clay soil and it has rocks. So on the Jenny's edition, you have these blades right here that are bolted in, right? So you've got these blades, got the 2 little nuts right here. So this is starting to get worn down. The new one has more of a point right here because this is what starts to break up the soil before the actual part of the auger starts to do the work. As you use this is going to get worn down and become flat. What's the great thing is you can replace this. You do not have to buy a brand new auger. Also, because I have thick red clay soil, very compact, especially up here, I do have the heavy duty tip. Now the heavy duty tip is absolutely essential for drilling holes in compacted, rocky soil, has roots. You've got to have it. And so what happens is this little spot right here, that is the heavy duty tip. It is completely replaceable. You can take this nut off right here, buy a new one of these guys for just a fraction of the cost of the whole auger, and then there you go. Now, it's a little bit hard to see because mine is so dirty, but you've got this tip right here, this is the brand new one. Nice and pointy, again, starting with a brand new blade that is really sharp and pointed. Mine is definitely worn down. So I'm going to have to start looking at here within, I don't know, maybe the next couple of months, depends on how much I use it, and replacing this heavy duty tip. So the great thing about this entire auger is that anything that can wear out can be replaced. I don't have to buy a brand new auger. I can just buy the replacement parts, like I said, fraction of the cost instead of buying the whole thing all over again. And then something that, I'm not the world's best like up on drills and technology. I kind of leave that to Jerry. I just know this stuff works. But one other thing about this that is really, really important is that you have at the tippy top, you have this hex head, and that is what goes into the drill. So you can see what it looks like, right? So it goes in, you can tighten it up right here. I have it in the drill. If this wears out, if you somebody borrows it and it strips it out, you can simply replace it. It has these little pins, you take the pins out, and then this whole guy comes out, you can replace it. So it makes a huge, huge difference in like long-term use of it, and that you're, as Greg told me when he was here when we were doing the daylilies, he said, Jenny, the auger itself is going to outlive you. Your grandkids are going to be able to use this because as long as you just replace the parts on it, the pieces, it will do great. So that is what makes the difference of a power planter auger versus an auger maybe that you buy that's made overseas, or something that's, you know, cheap and doesn't have the replacement parts. Genuine US steel right here makes a huge difference. I am just sharing with you what has radically changed how I garden. I could not plant the number of plants that I do by myself without this. Is it an investment? Of course it is, absolutely. But if you have mobility issues, if you have really thick, compact clay soil like I do, or rocky soil, or roots, trust me, I have done it. I have used these augers for years, and they make a world of difference. So that's my little soapbox moment for the day. It is also, the Jenny's edition is a little bit taller. So once I actually start drilling, I'll show you what the height difference is and talk about that as well. But I think what we're gonna do first is I don't know what I said earlier, but let's start with the annuals. That'll be easy. So we're gonna start with the annuals, get them in the ground. I'll explain what I'm doing, and then we'll move to perennials. All right, my friends, so I've gone ahead and prepped the soil. Obviously, hollyhocks are gone. Any kind of leftover leaves, they are gone. Went ahead and added wasn't quite a full bag of Land and Sea, just to go ahead and help build up the soil just a little bit to replace what was lost when I took the hollyhocks out. Biotone is down. Now, I walked out of the garden closet and I didn't bring my Proven Winners time release fertilizer. That's something I can easily come back and add. I'm just hot and I don't want to walk down there. I'm just being honest with you. So I'll come back and add that later on. What we're going to use today are two colors that are just add to that boldness of this whole garden, which I love. So we have the Angel Face Super Blue. Now this, when you have the supers, they're super blue and they're super white. They are going to be nice and big. They're super size. They're perfect for the landscape because they're 30 to 40 inches tall. So really nice on their height. And then the minimum spacing is 10 inches, maximum is 14. I probably have them close in that 10, 11 range. I did 5. Did one in the center and then 2 on each side. Makes it perfect. It's a beautiful purple that really kind of echoes that Mini Vista Indigo, which is on the corner. So we're kind of continuing the colors, even though they're different plants, it's that same color, so it ties the bed all in together. So these of course are going to be full sun. They are very heat tolerant. They love the heat. Not necessarily drought tolerant, but they love the heat and the humidity and do really, really well. You can use them in a container, but I would say make it a big container. And then next, we have never done this one before. It is so stinking cute, y'all. This is a creeping zinnia, however you want to say it. I say zinnia, but I have lots of customers that say zinnia. Yeah. Now, this is called Sun Beanie, and Sun Beanie is a full sun plant. It only gets 6 to 12 inches tall. This is why we're putting it in the front. It is a bright, very, very cheery yellow flower. It is gorgeous, and it will be 6 to 12 tall and spread 12 to 14 wide. So hopefully we're gonna have a carpet right here. Now, of course, like your zinnias, they love the heat, they love the full sun, they are prolific bloomers. So we're just gonna have really fun. I was thinking, I don't really have anything that's like yellow gold in here. Of course, I have the dreamsicle above me, but so this will tie in as far as the color palette really, really well and just be a lot of fun. So all I'm gonna do is just I have my Hori Hori. I'm not using the power planter here because around the chicken coop we have a predator guard, which means we have chicken wire that is buried underneath, like all around the perimeter. So foxes, this is the only fox I want in my chicken coop, they can't burrow under and get to the girls. So I can't use the power planter because I would hit that chicken wire and it would make a hot mess. So I've got my Hori Hori. I'm just gonna pull the soil back, plop these in, and then I've got some more land and seed. I'm just gonna kind of top dress, and then we're gonna get these watered in, and then we can move on to the perennials. All right, my friends, we've got the annuals are planted. I decided to come over here because this is the last drop of shade I'm gonna have for today's project. But what I went ahead and did is just pulled back the mulch for my 3 Apache roses, and they're gonna go in here pretty much in a triangle, pretty much cut and dry on that. Going back to the Jenny's edition on this auger is that I love the height on this. Power planter extended it just a little bit for us, so it is a great height. I am 5'2", and so the drill hits right kind of at my stomach. It doesn't matter if you're 5'2" or 6'2". We have Andrew who works with us, and he is much taller than I am, and he loves to use this too. If you went any higher, if this thing was up here and it were to kick back, it is going to hit you in the ribs. Ladies, it's going to hit you in the chest. It is going to hurt. So I love that it's this height because I can also get leverage on it, because this garden literally has our worst soil on the entire property. It is nothing but thick, compact clay, no organic matter. That is why we mulch so much here, trying to add organic matter back here. So perfect height. If it were any taller, I would not want it because it would be almost impossible for me to use. So I am going to drill these 3 holes, biotone, plop them in, water, then we're going to move on to the Nephophia and the lemon squeeze. right, my friends, so today's project is complete. Sorry, I was just patting my face. Jenny is glistening really hard. I decided last year, totally off topic of the garden, so last year I ordered a bunch of cute little inexpensive hankies off of Amazon because, you know, I was like, if you're gonna glisten, let's do it a little elegantly instead of like taking our shirt and just swiping our face. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do at times, but anyway, this time of year I carry my little hanky, just got a pack from like Amazon, so just in case you wanna glisten a little more elegantly, get you a couple little hankies. I digress, the heat is getting to me. All right, so we're at a little bit of a different angle because once I started planting the perennials, I was like, I'm just gonna go for it because y'all, it is thick out here today, and Brenna and I are ready for, we're ready to cool off. But I want to give you a perspective here. So this is one of the little access road that comes up from what was the tractor shed, and that is the corner right back here that Apache rose is planted. So you've got, of course, you've got a violet cascade butterfly bush, we've got perennial salvias, we've got our sweet little tree right here, and our unique stone angel with daylilies that will be red, and then the Apache rose. So imagine those as 4 feet tall. And really, because I know how big mine at the bed going to the patio is, they will be touching each other. So they will basically look like one large mass grass. And I tend to leave my perennial grasses brown throughout the winter, and then I will cut them to the ground, say like in February. And then as we pan across, everything is looking so sweet and so nice. Of course, the new annuals are in, they are nice and well watered. And then coming on over here, behind the paperbark maple, that is where I planted the Nothofias. And these Nothofias were part of my stock that were left over, and they desperately needed to get in the ground. So what I did is I mixed them up a little bit. So the two outside ones right here are Rocket's Red Glare. And Rocket's Red Glare will be obviously a beautiful red. And then in the middle we have Orange Rocket. I'll have to go back and look at exactly the name, but it is the bright orange. My Rocket's Red Glare has got a bud deep down in there, and then of course the orange right here is blooming right now. Nothophias here in Zone 8A will be a semi-evergreen, or really kind of an evergreen. They will have that beautiful grass-like foliage the entire winter. And as long as they get consistent moisture, then they will bloom all season long. So that'll be a really fun addition. And let me kind of show you around this direction. We've got that gorgeous phlox. That is the phlox that we were trying out from Walter's Gardens. So it is doing great with the Blue Fortune Agasaki on each side. So when you're looking at it from this perspective, of course, you've got the ginormous fig tree. Then you're going to have the Nothophia right there. The Rocket's Red Glare is going to get a little bit bigger than the orange. So that'll be quite nice. All kind of blending in there together. Y'all, I'm hot. I can't even think right. And then last but not least, sorry, we have the lemon squeeze. So I put the lemon squeeze around El Nino and in front of the hollies, and there's a perennial hibiscus back there. And you can see that I tried to at least intentionally separate them. I tried to put 2 together and then 1 together. These will be, of course, that nice mounding habit. I absolutely adore having grasses in my garden, whether it is these perennial grasses like the lemon squeeze and the Apache rose, or if it's annual grasses like what I have up here next to the girls directly. This is the Fireworks, which is going to be a nice red. It brings movement to the garden. It brings a whole different texture and layer. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And then you don't have to have flowers to be pretty. So that is definitely going to prove my point this year with those grasses. And then of course with your perennial grasses, they love the heat. So if you can get them in the summertime, it is better than to plant them in the fall. I do not recommend planting your perennial grasses in the fall because going into the winter, they're not going to be having a good active root system as far as growing, and you could be more likely to lose them. So that has been my experience sometimes. If you have a long fall like we do. I mean, you could easily plant them in like September, but this is not something that I would say let's plant in January, right? I'm going to do it in going into or in those hot months, and then they will do better. So Brent and I are going to go get some cold water and chill and relax, breathe a little bit. It's a great day here at Creekside. Feels good. The chicken coop is coming along quite nicely and looking great. As always, y'all have an amazing day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.